speaking of Michael Jackson, you personally, how you feel about the claims that he was molesting kids?
Well, I draw everybody's attention to this. If it's not my job right now to do that, but I will draw your attention to the umbrella speech. He's under a black umbrella, it's raining, and he's saying he doesn't see anything wrong with a grown man being naked in the bed with a 10-year-old boy who's already also naked to show love. Now, you can draw your conclusions. Why would a grown man be naked in the bed with a 10-year-old boy? He said it. I don't know if it's still out there, but it used to be. They played it over and over out on the West Coast.
Do you believe he was killed?
No, he had some problems. What went on from the stuff around the studio was he had so many operations on his nose and face that his nose went necrotic and he was in a lot of pain and he was taking painkillers. And they had him, remember when he was sleeping in the oxygen tent? That was so that he would not lose his nose, but he did anyway. And if you look at some of the late tapes and he's dancing, you can see a piece of tape here and a piece of tape there, and it's holding on this prosthetic nose, and you can see it starting to separate under the latex makeup, and you can see the line of it. And it's pretty clear and obvious. So he has no nose, and if you want to see something on it, look at South Park where they do Michael Jefferson, I think they call it. And he's a zombie with no nose, and his face keeps peeling off because he seems to have had operations to put in bone transplants to get a chin, cheekbones, and that thing with the hair. He had his scalp peeled back every 6 to 8 months, and the Polynesian hair that he had inserted from the inside of the scalp out had to be reknotted strand by strand. And he was into pain medication, and he OD'd. And I'm not going to talk about it. I had some bodyguard staff who moonlighted, would go out there to Neverland, and they came back with some stories. And most of them said they'd never, ever go out there again. No how, no way in life. But I won't relate those.
What was they saying to you? You don't got to expose no names.
What was going on around the place with the boys and the mamas that were dropping their sons off and were getting, and they were glad that the boys got attention, and they were saying, we are, in this case, I couldn't work there but a couple of days. I just, Now, I mean, that's off, I guess that's off the record, but hell, I don't know. I didn't verify what they were saying. I just got the stories. They seem like credible people to me. But that's his business. It's the United States. Get your freak on. Just leave the children alone. Leave the children alone.
Definitely got to leave the kids alone. What about Prince? You believe he was murdered?
Again, drug problem. My ex used to do opening acts on Prince's Purple Rain tour. She was fine. She could sing too. But I think Prince, I think there's a certain melancholia that is associated with some of these stars. They give a lot of thought to stuff because they lack it. It strikes me that a lot of them are in pain. I'll give you this. He can sing, he's a great performer, but again, I think it was an OD thing. Drugs become a way of coping. And drugs are also, by the way, a means of suicide. One of the points that I got developed when I was having damn near everybody that I would put on probation or put out on bond evaluated showed this. You cannot rehab somebody who's trying to die. Well, if you clean him up with drugs, he wouldn't want to die. No, that's not the way to do it. You have to get him not to want to die before you can clean him up. Because why? He knows, she knows the drugs are not about getting high, it's about trying to die. It starts off as an escape, but then it becomes a way of dying. A lot of the violence that goes on around and about us where we live is not because of pride, principle, or honor. It's because you hate yourself and you want to commit suicide, but you don't have the nerve to pop the cap in on your own head. You can do the drugs, and that becomes socially acceptable suicide, where the drugs become the reason for the death, not your desire to bring it about. And then we have variations, for example, suicide by cop. We've heard of that one. But the one that is really bad is suicide by neighbor, where you try to provoke somebody in your hood to do you the personal favor of taking your life because you hate yourself. So bottom line is a lot of these stars, a lot of these celebrities have a great deal of self-hate, and what they wind up doing is doing the drug thing as a means to escape, but is also a means of socially acceptable suicide. Now, one of the interesting things I noticed about the Hollywood crowd is they have had an adult life spent on make believe, fantasy, and distraction. They're not into the real world. So you may be a success at what you do in the entertainment field, but you're constantly trying to, or constantly trying to reassure themselves that they're really worth something. Now, you can make a lot of money dancing and singing or acting, but the problem is what have you done for the real world? What did you really do? Did you actually go charge a machine gun nest? Did you actually go save your neighbors? Did you actually pull somebody out of a burning building? Did you actually go protect somebody that was being held up? Did you actually go support somebody that needed it because it was somebody in your hood that needed a bit of guidance and a bit of prompting to engage in self-help? So a lot of people that are into these industries, they do heavy drugs because they're kind of trying to escape and not be themselves. And another thing I noticed, on the screen, you say, yeah, man, it's really rough. We're going to have to go deal with, man, we're going to have to make this move, blah, blah, blah. And then when you meet them in person, you're saying, wait a minute. Ooh, the flames are so high, I can feel the heat from over here. Damn. You know, this guy is nowhere near Mr. Macho you've been looking at on the screen. It's about fake. You get in there and you see the people that make it happen in the industry, music industry, film industry, television industry. Tommy, what's going on, man? I hear they've got some things are going on down there on 52nd, man. What is that all about? The maid came in this morning and she was really concerned. I don't know, Al. Maybe we can get Jamal. Jamal, have you heard? Aren't you one of those guys down there, or do you still have connections? Oh, Charlie, I do, but I really kind of avoid it, you know. And then when you see Jamal, he's going for bad, you know. He's down for the cause. He's profiling and he's got his hat on at the felony angle, you know. By the way, let me say something about that. My maternal grandfather was born in 1850. He wasn't a slave because his father had freed himself, but he left me a journal. And I remember one time when I was about 5, I had a baseball cap on and he knocked it off. He said, I never want to see you wear it except straight ahead. They didn't have baseball caps back then, but they had these engineer caps. So free Negroes could wear their caps like this. He said the slaves had to wear it to the side or to the back So the slave catchers knew they were slaves. They could come over and check their papers. So I never want to see you with the hat anywhere except straight on. That's a little interesting thing because the brothers got to have their little bitty hats on where they be, but here's the thing.